Does the world feel particularly weird right now? Do you feel like the world you were brought up in is not the one you're living in as an adult? Do you feel like things are more chaotic than they were before? Whether things seem to be changing more rapidly than they did at other points in history? Well, if you're feeling any of these things, you are not wrong. As we transition from the Age of Pisces to the Age of Aquarius, the playbook has changed completely. And in order for us to succeed during this time, we have to align with this Aquarian energy. So that's what we're going to talk about today, how to succeed and align with Aquarian energy. So what is this change from the Age of Pisces to the Age of Aquarius? What causes it? And what are the differences between the two ages? All of this has to do with the precession of the equinoxes, which is a slow cyclical shift in the Earth's rotational axis, which causes the position of the sun at the spring equinox. So in the northern hemisphere, it would be around March 21st. In the southern hemisphere, it would be around September 21st, to move backwards through the zodiac signs over a period of about 26,000 years. Astrologers refer to this as the astrological ages. And each of these ages lasts roughly 2,000 years, maybe up to 2,160. There's also a transition period between each one. Each era marks an age of collective consciousness, which are certain energies and themes and basically a lens that we're all living life through because we're all experiencing these same themes and energies. These also go backwards. So Pisces comes after Aquarius in the zodiac, but because it goes backwards, we're going from Pisces to Aquarius, and eventually we'll go to Capricorn. The Age of Pisces started around 2,000 years ago, and there was an emphasis on faith, spirituality, sacrifice, and hierarchical social structures or power structures. The things that we see in organized religion. Religions like Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism. These are all religions that came about around the same time at the beginning of the Piscean age. But if you feel like any of that has grown stale, or the things that humanity learned during those time periods just aren't really relevant anymore as we move into this new fast-paced technological future, you're not wrong, because we've already integrated those themes and it's time to go into the new age, the Aquarian age. The Age of Aquarius that we're entering is associated with innovation, intellectualism, individuality, community, humanitarianism, technological advancement, and overall connecting as a globe, as opposed to maybe a tribe. As you can probably see if you think about the last 100 years, there's been a lot of upheaval. A lot of old institutions and belief systems have dissolved. And we're not just contending with a new age at this point. We've actually finished a cycle. With Pisces as the end of the 12 zodiac signs, we're entering an entirely new cycle of 26,000 years. Many of us feel that this is a golden age of humanity we're entering. So this is a time of mass awakening, which can feel really uncomfortable, violent, and confusing. So that's the overview of this, but I want to talk specifically about how this affects us as individuals and how we as individuals can succeed during this era, because we are moving away from the Piscean energy. The old way of doing things isn't going to work. The world is changing so rapidly. I'm 37 years old and the world is completely unrecognizable from when I was a child. I was probably the last generation to experience life without a computer, without the internet in my home, though we had that by the end of my childhood. And this may seem normal to us, but there were a lot of times during these ages, like at the beginning of them or in the middle of them, where not much changed for people over many generations. There might be someone who had a job like a farmer, and then their children were farmers, and then their children were farmers, and then their children were farmers for many generations. They all lived in the same place, they had the same values, and now things are completely different. In many ways, the world can be unrecognizable in a span of 10 years. We started entering the Aquarian age in the 1900s. Actually, I would say that we started in probably the 1700s as new seeds of this energy began to be planted. I would actually say that the United States of America is a very Aquarian creation, and this was something that was established in the late 1700s. It's a place that theoretically is based on equality, democracy, separation and balances of power. So even though the United States was founded on these very Aquarian ideals, it hasn't been able to deliver because it was still created with inequality and oppression. Anybody who thought that they were building a country based on equality and enslaving people in order to make that happen was not fully living in that energy. So there were these seeds that appeared during that time and have been appearing more and more. But it was in the 1960s or 70s when this energy started to come in stronger, and now it's undeniable. I would estimate that we'll be fully in the Aquarian age within the next 100 years or so. But the energy is accelerating. We can choose to experience this transition as something that is smooth and beneficial to us, as long as we align with those Aquarian energies. One of the most important things is the rise of intuition. As we move into the Aquarian age, understanding how to connect with our intuition will be more important than ever. We are exposed to more information and people in a day than many of our ancestors ever met in their entire lives. We don't necessarily have time to deeply research and vet everything that we consume. So it's going to be very important to develop a system of filtering what we come in contact with, to know if it's something that's helpful for us or not, and increase our levels of discernment. So one of the most important things you can do for your path is figure out how to connect to your intuition. Given that I teach human design, I feel that our inner authority is a really good version of intuition, because that's what helps us make decisions based on our unique way of discerning what is a yes or no for us. But intuition overall is awareness too. It's, like I said, discernment of whether something can be trusted or not, whether something's useful for us or not, whether someone's telling the truth or not, understanding people's motives. And the more we connect with that, the easier it'll be to navigate this age. So if you can find a way to connect with your intuition, we're seeing a rise in people learning tarot, people learning human design, people learning astrology, people developing their psychic abilities, people learning to tap into their bodies. So all of these are valid ways to train your intuition and tap into it. Relationships in the Aquarian age will also be changing. For the last 2,000 years, a lot of relationships have been based on societal roles. What is your role as a sister, as a mother, as a father, as a wife, as a husband? It was expected that there were certain agreed upon ways to perform these roles in society. And all of that is breaking down. And what we're left with is showing up in the world as our own authentic self, knowing ourselves, knowing who we are, and bringing that to a relationship where we get to make our own rules. So what kind of relationship do you want to have? Do you even want to get married? Do you even want to have a family? Do you have to have relationships with the people that you're related to by blood? Are they more important than the people that you connect with on a soul level? Are relationships for you more about ensuring your physical and financial and material safety, or are they about personal growth? That's sort of where we're trending to in the Aquarian age. So the more that you can understand yourself and determine what you want to experience in relationships as an individual, instead of what society tells you you should be or what role you should play, that will make your relationships so much more satisfying in the Aquarian age. Work is also changing the new paradigm. Corporations and companies are a perfect example of a Piscean hierarchy, where everyone plays their role and you work your way up the ladder, and everyone is defined not by their individuality, but by the role that they play. And this will also be changing. Everything will become less centralized. Already, we're seeing the rise of work from home, people wanting more flexibility, a lot more gig economy, and people overall looking for workplaces that are about work-life balance and not just working yourself to the bone for somebody who's at the top. So one of the best ways that you can align at work with Aquarian energy is by creating an environment that's based on equality or more of a horizontal structure, or by really tapping into your purpose and making sure that you're doing work that is meaningful for you and not harmful to other people. That could be working for a company, or it could be working for yourself. We're seeing more and more people be able to be self-employed during this time because of the internet. For instance, I can sit here and run an entire business from my house completely alone and still make a very good living. We've been operating in kind of a factory style educational system where people are essentially trained to be 40-hour-a-week corporate workers. Not only that, but higher education in many places, especially the US, has become inaccessible for many people. It's becoming a hierarchy with only the elite at the top. And now we're moving to a place where information and education is a lot more accessible for everyone. Anybody can learn almost anything on the internet. Not only that, but we're not relying on only a few privileged people to be teachers. Anybody can be a teacher. I don't have any credential in what I'm teaching you right now, mostly because it doesn't actually exist. If I could go study this and become credentialed, maybe I would, because it would be fun. But a lot of people have a lot of unique knowledge that they can share online. Oh, and this is Editing Rachel popping in to say, again, this is why we need discernment. Anybody can teach anything. Anybody can share anything. Does not mean that they're trustworthy or a good source of that knowledge. So if we can learn to discern what is going to be helpful for us, what is valid, that will help us be open to all these alternative sources of knowledge and education without falling victim to the charlatans, the fakes, and people who have nefarious agendas. And as we move forward, continuing to educate yourself and share your knowledge with other people is really important in the Aquarian age. And not only that, but continuing to grow and educate yourself on real world things or just things you're interested in or things you have passion for will really help align you with Aquarian energy. Money will change so much. I can't go deep into cryptocurrency, but that is definitely the way of the future because imagine right now, a lot of our money is locked within our borders. And not only that, but it's locked within banks. We have pretty good international systems at this point, but they're not foolproof. And so imagining a fully transparent, decentralized financial system that allows anybody anywhere in the world instant access to their money is definitely the way that we're going. So one of the best things you can do right now is begin to educate yourself about cryptocurrency. It's not fully there yet. Nobody can really live 100% with cryptocurrency, but it's only going to grow in influence and utilization over the next few decades. So understanding what it is and being open to learning how to use it is so important right now. One of the final things that is so important in the Aquarian age is embracing your own uniqueness and authenticity. It's more important now than ever to know yourself. We all come onto Earth as these unique souls. We are not just shaped by our genetics and environment. At least I feel that we all come here with this unique essence of who we are that is not of this place, that is something much bigger and eternal. And the more that we can tap into that soul aspect of us and begin to see ourselves not just in the societal roles that we play and our conditioning that we received as children and weighed down by the traditions of our families, our communities, the easier it will be to thrive in the Aquarian age. Most of the passions and jobs and connections and humanitarian projects that we'll be doing over the next 100 years are things that have never existed before and may not exist yet. And the only way that we're going to birth those is by tapping into our own authenticity. So going to therapy, doing emotional healing, meditation, journaling, astrology, human design, all these modalities that allow us to learn about ourselves and just overall cultivating a relationship with yourself and noticing what's natural to you and what draws you and what's exciting for you and accepting the parts of yourself that may be different from the community where you live or the family that you grew up in. Those are all really incredible ways to embrace your authenticity that are absolutely going to be the key to you thriving the Aquarian age. So thank you. This is the introduction to my video guide on how to succeed in the Aquarian age. If you want to check it out, there's a link below. And we'll be going into all of these topics even deeper with more specifics, more information, more actionable items, and just a deeper understanding of this energy that we're all moving into. So thank you for joining me today, and make sure to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos about the Aquarian age, human design, and how to thrive in the new paradigm.